Hello children, join us again with our Guru Gedara program. Another science lesson we are going to learn again, grade 7. Something interesting. We are going to learn about soil today. We'll see what this soil is, right? Soil, the program soil, it's a story. We are going to learn about a story about soil. Just think, what do you know about soil? We know every day that we see soil on the earth. Sometimes soil is there, the pots are filled with soil. Everything, the whole base of our earth, the upper crust, it is soil. So, those small things that you know. Today, we are going to learn about detail of soil. So, we see when we take soil, actually at the beginning of our earth, there was no soil. So, soil was formed gradually. Gradually with evolution, with climatic changes, with different conditions, only the soil was formed. This is a real small story. It's like if there is no place for you to stay. We say that there is no house for you to stay. So, if animals do not have a place to stay, so what happened? It is really difficult. So, same way, if soil was not there on the earth, animals, plants, all we can't stay on this earth. We'll see why. Why we can't live? Because children, that soil is needed for the plants to grow. Plants grow on soil by taking things from there. At the same time, on the plants, we feed on plants, animals feed on plants. So, herbivores, those who feed only on plants, will not have any food. At the same time, the other animals, we can say omnivores, carnivores, the other animals who feed on other animals, they also don't get food if there are no plants. How? When the soil is not there, plants can't grow. If the plants are not there, herbivores do not have food. Then herbivores are not there, the other animals, we also do not have food. So, therefore, whole earth, all organisms on the earth will die eventually. So, now you can understand how important this soil is. So, we see how this soil is formed. So, when we talk about soil, soil has this uppermost layer. When you take the earth, uppermost layer of the earth is made out of soil. So, this is very important structure, as I told you how important it is. So, it is very important. They are as a resource to maintain the whole earth organisms, living organisms. So, in detail we will learn about this now. So, first of all, you can go for an observation. There you can find some places surround your garden or your school garden or home garden. We will check some things, some components, some parts which is found in the soil. So, basically what you can do is, you can find garden soil. Most of you all have a garden. Soil from roadside, very easy. Soil from area where construction is, building area, you can collect some soil and observe what it is there. So, some places you can see plants are there. Some places insects, ants are there. At the same time, you will see polythene bags, plastic articles, concrete. So, those are artificial things. Actually, those are not the parts of the soil. That was done by human, which is really bad, but there is no point of having these to the soil, but still they are, because we have done it. We have done a wrong thing, so they are collected to soil. So, if you see these plastic polythene bags in soil, don't think it is a part of soil. It is something which is made, changed by the man. Okay. So, we will see. You can observe things. You know, all of you all, I think that have seen a magnifying glass. I know that in grade 6 you must have used it. We will see, children, that what is a magnifying glass earlier. Here this is a magnifying glass, you know very well, and you can take a soil sample there. With a soil sample, this way you can observe by using a magnifying glass this way. So, when you observe through this magnifying glass, you can see the particles which you cannot see through your naked eye. So, you can use that. When I see here that I can see an earthworm here and some other particles here, you also can observe that way. So, if you use a magnifying glass, we will see another sample of soil. Right. So, here in this you can see other plant particles and some other small sand particles. So, different leaf particles. So, by looking at soil sample, you can decide what is in it. So, without taking artificial parts on it, without taking artificial parts, what is found in the soil, you can decide how they look like. First of all, see what is found in it, what is present in soil. Then you can find the texture. What do you mean by texture? How do you feel? How do you feel to your fingers? So, you know that there are some smooth surfaces are there, some rough surfaces are there. By taking these samples, you can take something to your hand and see whether you will feel very soft or very rough. So, that is called texture. How do you feel? What is felt by you is called the texture. So, different places, as I told you, from your garden, roadside, or in school garden, near your well. So, you can take this, you can have some components, write some components which is found there. At the same time, you can touch it and see how you feel that, and other facts. If there is anything special you can mention, so you can mention there. So, that is the first thing you can do to get an idea about soil. Once you get that idea, we know. Now, I will show you some different soil samples which was taken from different parts of a garden from the ground. So, you can see, when you look at this, you can see it is dark brown color. This is also brown, but when you compare these two are two different colors. And if I show you another type of soil, look at this. So, that is also kind of brown, but blackish brown. At the same time, you can see some other particles there. As you saw here as well, some particles. Then there is another one. Yes, true enough, it's dark, but can you see, children, that the different colors are there? And lastly, I'll show you another one. This you know very well. That is also part of our soil. Though we call it sand, it's also part of our soil. So, all these things are found in different parts. Why is this? These are different from each other because the amount of component is different from one to another. That is why you can recognize them in different colors. When you touch them, you can feel it different texture, and some have some particles like this, some do not have particles, some have some insects or animals here. They are this type of soil which is really the earthworms love to stay in this type of moist oil. So, there you can see the different colors and different textures in these different types of soil. So, you have a basic idea. There are different types of soil there. So, this is called composition of soil. So, a new word may be composition. Background, if you can see there, that you can see children, that black color, brown color, different colors are there when you see the background of this. So, that is the composition. As I showed you different colors in different way, that is the main way that the earth crust, topmost soil is made. Right. We will talk about detail topmost layer of the earth. So, if you have learnt about the earth, different parts by starting on top to the inner core of the earth, you can find out that there are different layers. When you take different layers, uppermost layer, or you call it topsoil, top part is the soil. That is the most topmost layer of the earth is always full of soil. May be different, but it is full of soil is there, the uppermost layer. So, when we take our country is with a full of soil layer which is with lots of nutrients for the plants. That means decomposition. That means decaying material, breaking down material are lot in our conditions. So, our soil gives lots of nutrients to the plants. So, that is why we can grow anything anywhere in our country. So, with water, without water, whatever it is, when it is with full of nutrients, it is very easy to grow things. So, anyway, throughout the earth, uppermost layer of the earth is the soil. Right. Now, this is the composition. Composition means how it is made. Example, when you take one of your toy cars, you know, that is made out of small tires, windscreens are there, then the body of the vehicle is there, so many parts are there. Same way, soil is made this way. You can see that the most amount of soil is with mineral particles. It is with mineral particles. How much? That is 45%. Then air. Soil has air. Soil has water as well. There is another portion which is called organic matter. What is this organic matter? Now, when you look at this diagram, you can see in the soil, actually there are some parts here. The earthworms can be seen and some dead particles can be seen. So, that is 5%, the smallest amount, but the most useful is organic matter. We see how it is formed. Organisms are there. There are soil organisms. So, soil organisms are doing a main function. They have a particular function for it. At the same time, roots. Where have they come from? Obviously, from the trees, bushes, small plants, everything gives roots there once they are dead. So, then 80% humus. 80% in the sense organic matter 5%, out of that most amount in that 5% is organic matter. Organisms and roots are the 10% each, the least amount. So, this always gives a main function, main property to the soil. These are the main composition here. When you take soil, again we see what is there. Soil air is there, soil water is there. Other than that, minerals are there, that is the most amount, and organic matter. Organic matter is made out of dead material of plants, animals, and humus is made as a result. So, we will see now. Now, look at this. You can see, first of all, you can identify different type of soil with the size of the particle. If you concentrate on the screen, you can see sand particles are very large and silt particles are smaller than that. Clay particles are the smallest. So, when it is together, it is a bit difficult to identify, but particles are that way at the same time. By looking at the color, you can find out what it is. Now, clay is mostly in red color. Loamy soil, that is black. Sand, it is very easy to identify. Two types of sands we can get in beach. Sand particles are little bit smaller than the river sand. So, it does not matter, they have the same texture and the property. Then the silt is there. So, here once I showed you earlier, now we will see again with soil samples whether we can identify them. Right. So, if you take this sample, first one, see where you can tally with it, this is red color. So, you know if it is red color, you can identify now that it is the clay sample. Then we will see what is loamy here. By taking the color, texture, it is easy to identify this is a loamy soil. This is loamy soil. Sand, of course, I know all of you all can easily identify. There is a little difference between sea sand and river sand. Then silt. Silt is a particle which is slightly light in color with small particles. So, we can mainly divide these into three: clay soil, sandy soil and loamy soil. Mainly soil, there are different types of soil. What are the three types? Clay soil, sandy soil and loamy soil. So, it is categorized according to their property. Property means how it is made up of. There are some tall children, that is also relative. That means there are some short children, because of that there are tall children. So, likewise, according to the properties that they have, we have categorized these soil, that is clay soil, sandy soil and loamy soil. Right. Property, as I told you, property is how it is made. Now, we will see how these properties are. We will try to identify these properties. Clay soil. Usually, I will show you again. Clay, now if you can remember the color, yes, correct. This is the color, that is brown color. If you touch this, right, if you touch this, you can see it's sticky. So, usually this clay soil is sticky, but here you can see it in your fingers as well, but here if you take this, it is not sticky. It is not sticky. When you take sand, it is not sticky, but here this get sticked onto your fingers as this way. So, it is very easy to find clay soil. Why it is sticky? Because that it can retain lots of water. What do you mean by retaining? It can keep lots of water. So, think that why it can keep lots of water, I will show you that it contains lots of water if you keep small example I will show you here with this. If you take this clay soil, now this clay soil, if I put it here and will show you there that if you put water here, it will absorb water. You can see that it absorbs water. When you put amount of water here, you can see it absorbs it, right. The water is easily absorbed there. Why? It is sticky, it absorbs and it becomes sticky as it does not have air pores. There is something called air pores inside. We earlier learned that there are soil air, there water is there inside soil. So, here when there is less space there, water cannot go inside. So, because it has already absorbed lots of water. Example, if I say this way, if you take a bus with a crowded bus does not have enough space for the people to get in. There are only a few people can get in. Why? Because less spaces are there. We will take an empty bus with only few people. 10, 15 people are there. Lots of other passengers can get in from outside. Why? Space is more. So, soil is also the same way, children. If there are lots of spaces among there, lots of water can there go in. Space is more, air space is more. If there are no enough space, that nothing can go inside or only a less amount can go inside. So, because of that, we are using this for hard stuff. What are hard stuff? Making bricks. Yes, you need to make your house very, very hard. If not, somebody can break, or on its own it will be broken. To stop that, it should be very hard. So, therefore, we use clay to make ceramics, bricks, tiles. So, it is very, very important to know that clay soil is there to make bricks. Why, children? It has less air spaces. When there is less air spaces, water absorption can be done maximum, and the furthermore will not happen. We will go to sandy soil now. Sandy soil you know very well. Now, you are familiar with sandy soil. Here, this is sandy soil. It is not sticky as clay soil. Look here, it is not sticky. Not sticky means it does not have lots of water. It does not have lots of water, not sticky. But air spaces inside are more. Why? More people can get in now. More space in the vehicle. Same way, more spaces are there. So, if you put some, so it can have lots of water there. That is called retention. Keeping space, keeping water inside is called retention ability. So, retention of air is very high. Among particles, retention of air is very high. So, that air particles can be there a lot. Water cannot be absorbed as clay soil. How are we going to use? You can't use this to make bricks. We can use, but to make something harder. Example, concrete. You know very well what is concrete. And main special important material to make glasses is sand. So, because it gives that hard structure for the material which we make. Loamy soil. It contains all these. Sand is there, silt and clay, all are there. And organic material. You know very well by now what are organic material? Dead material. Dead animals, dead plants. So, once they die, they are broken down into small particles by microorganisms in soil. So, those microorganisms only make organic material. So, water and air enough, that they have enough water and air. So, soil is rich with this organic matter. So, if you put a plant there, plant will get all nutrients that it needs. So, very useful in agriculture. If we have enough organic matter, you may have heard about this organic food, organic plants. Yes, that is this. Why? That if that soil is full of organic matter, you don't need to put artificial fertilizer. So, make sure if you are growing a plant, vegetable plant at home for your use, never use this artificial fertilizer. Here, this organic matter, you use loamy soil, time to time add some loamy soil to the plant. Yes, without any artificial things, you can grow your plant very well. Other than this organic matter, because it can have enough water, enough air in it. So, you got a brief idea about this clay soil, sandy soil and loamy soil. If I recall again, clay soil, retention of water is more, air among particles are less. Then sandy soil, that retention of air is more, retention of water is less now. If you talk about loamy soil, yes, other than air, water, it has something special, organic matter. That is the very reason that we are using this for agriculture. Yes, now you know how important our soil is. So, as I told you, loamy soil is the most important for gardening. You may have heard about the word humus, right? Humus is mainly made out of this loamy soil, more suitable for the growth. And if you don't have a garden, you can have another choice. You can have a pot and grow plants by putting loamy soil, not by putting clay soil, not by putting sandy soil. You can put some loamy soil and grow your plant very healthy. Right. You must have seen this diagram before. This is how that you think that if our earth is like a cake, if you cut it this vertically down, I hope you know the word vertically, the way that you cut the cake. If you cut the earth but the upper crust, upper part of the topmost part, if you cut here, you can see another piece of cake here with different layers. You can see that uppermost of that soil is darker. Now you know very well what is that soil. With the color and with the particle size you can find out. Then another layer is there. You can see last parts, you can see that large particles, rock particles and some large particles are found at the lower part of that soil. Now, if we talk about this, here, see what is the topmost now? It is humus. Topsoil is made out of humus. There is something called subsoil, that where the roots move inside. Later, that withered, hope you know the word withered, that means broken down into particles of rock fragments. So, withered particles are found here. Now, we see how it differs. As I told you earlier, that color, texture, depth, chemical composition. Color you know, everyone you know, by looking at that you can see the different colors in different parts. Texture means, of course, you have to touch and see. Then chemical composition. With the standard knowledge you can find out this, what are the main chemicals find in this. So, it was found already that these different parts have different chemical composition as well. Then we see here, this of course you can do at home. I have done a small experiment for you to see. You can take a polythene bag and take a soil sample from anywhere, but take that soil sample little bit deeper from your garden or anywhere else, that you fill that polythene bag, or you can take a long water bottle, anything you can take. Mix it very well, keep it to settle down. So, I have done that little bit before, and you can see, you can observe that well here. The different parts, different layers are found. I will show you a composition of soil by taking this to this bottle. So, what I have done was that soil was dissolved in water, and these are the things when it is kept to settle. First, you can see some particles floating on top. Can you see? Those are the particles of plants, or if there are dead animal particles, it will also come top. Secondly, there is water which the clay particles are dissolved. So, clay particles are there, that is why that water is not very much clear. But still, if you happen to keep this for a little longer, that you will see that will also become clearer. Then next layer, you can see it is a clay layer. Can you see this clay layer? The first layer is the clay layer after this water level. Then silt layer can be seen. Here the silt layer can be seen. Hard sand, but it is hard, that is found there. Then gravel are found at the bottom. So, gravel, hard sand is there. You can compare with the diagram even. Silt is there, clay layer, water with clay particles, and ultimately on top the floating particles, plant and animal parts are there. So, this you can do easily at home without the laboratory equipments, and please do that and see. Right. So, this is how it is in detail. Again, you can see very well. Big particles, small stones, sand, then mud, clay, everything is there when it is done in a bottle as well. Okay. I told you that this soil has different amount of different matter in it, but basically it is formed out of clay, silt and sand. It is like this. We will take a vehicle as an example. Basically, there is glass there in it. Shutters are made out of glass. Tires are there, rubber. Then at the same time steel, material, metals are there. So, those are the basic things. You can take any branded car, any other car, but all these are made out of these three basic material. Therefore, soil, the sandy soil, loamy soil and clay soil as well, made out of these three basically. That is clay, you can see the composition. When you take sandy soil, sand is more, other two are less. Loamy soil, when you take, sand is less, you can see, but silt is also there with that. Then when you go to clay soil, most amount of soil is formed out of clay. So, that is how that you differ this soil from one to another. I hope that you can understand how the composition is made now. Right. When you take these components again, you know soil solid components are there. What are solid? It is hard components. These hard components, soil minerals and soil organic matter are there. We already learned what is organic matter, soil mineral. Air, of course, you know what is air. Air in soil is called soil layer. Water. What is water? Water in soil is soil water. Soil organisms are there. Microorganisms and big organisms are there in this. So, when you take these particles, these soil minerals, what are the soil minerals? In solid particles, there are soil minerals. Sand, silt and clay are the soil minerals. Then, there is a function of these minerals. I told you at the beginning of the lesson we discussed soil, if the organic particles and some, first of all there should be a surface for every one of us to stay, plus human, animals, plants, it gives the surface. At the same time, as I told you, the plants can grow very well here. So, with the help of loamy soil, with the help of the organic matter decayed there, definitely, and if it can retain air and water, also that it helps plants to grow very well. So, always soil minerals are there to give nutrients for the plants. At the same time, that water retained in there will give the property to the plant. The soil organic material, that is called humus, decayed. Decayed means broken down into particles with the help of microorganisms. Microorganisms are the small organisms which you cannot see through your naked eye. You know them. So, they are decayed, broken down, that the organic material are formed. Right. So, this is human. This is how it looks like, children. So, you can see large particles, small particles, at the same time some earthworm even can see among these humus. So, we have a humus sample. I will show you that humus sample is here. This is a humus sample. So, you can see it is black colored comparing to other colors. Why? Because that it has dead material in it. Because of that you can find out this humus. This is the material which we use for the plants to grow. Time to time you can add humus to your plants for better growth. There is an experiment now to find out their water retention capacity increased by adding humus to sandy soil. Now, we will do that and see. You have here sandy soil. So, we will take some this humus, and this is humus and this is sand. So, when you put some water into this, and I will add some humus here, you can see, right, just humus here, and we will put some water and see. Water and see. Right. So, when you put water to humus, that it does not have that much ability to, you can see that water is floating here. Now, can add some sand to that. Can some add sand to that. You can see that water is there. Now, amount of water which was floating there has decreased. Why is that? Because ability to retain water here when put sand there increases. So, that is what you can do with this. Functions of soil, you know, storage of nutrients. Dead material, plants and animals give nutrients to the plants. So, that is the main function. Next, increase the capacity of retaining air and soil. So, air is very necessary for the soil. So, it increases the ability. Then, prevent the cracks in soil during dry season. So, if there is no humus, what will happen? That cracks will occur there and it will become very, very dry. Then here increase the retention of water in soil. When humus is there, retention ability is really high. So, here you see how soil air looks like. Air spaces can be seen this way. Can you see the air spaces? So, when you take the soil, these brown colored particles are the soil particles. Air spaces are there and blue color you can see water. So, now you can understand inside the soil particle, among soil particles, air spaces are there, water is there. Actually, these are called root hair. It comes out and it remains there. So, these are the main things we can find here. Right. We are going to show you that this has air in this soil. What we can do is, we can take some soil. We will take some soil to a beaker. I will put some soil there. Some organic matter is also there, but it does not matter. Just little bit of more soil from this. If not, you will think that only one type of soil has this, right? Then observe very carefully when I put water into this. Right? All type of soil we can put here. And put some water and we will see, observe carefully how that it increases there in this water. I will put water here, then observe there, air particles, bubbles are coming out. Very well you can see the bubbles form here from the other side, and air particles move upwards there. From here if you see, still you can see some air bubbles in it. So, air particles can be observed always. You can do this at home. Put some soil into container, put water into it and see bubbles go out. What are those bubbles? Those are air in soil. So, air bubbles evolve out from the soil. That is your observation here. Let us see how to do this experiment. We will take some soil and water. You can see soil sample, level of soil sample and level of water is same. Both are same here. So, now example, if I say, if the height here is 40 centimeters, height here is 40 centimeters, you should get 80 centimeters. But if these two are added together, you will not get the addition of both levels. Addition of both levels will not be here. Why? Some amount of water has moved down. Where has it gone? It has gone inside the soil. Where in the soil? Inside the soil there are 8 air particles. So, what has moved in? So, you have learnt that there are air particles inside soil. Because of that, the levels, both levels, the addition of both samples will be not there. It is less than that. Water level is also less than that. So, look here, this is soil, this is water. Once those two added together, you can see this much of water is not found here. Why it has decreased? Some amount of water has gone inside soil particle. The way of doing this, soil you can put into a same height, then you can take the water also to the same height. Here we have taken 4 centimeters up, then both mixed together, you can find out how this is formed. Then there, here this is your observation. Both together do not add up to make the final volume. What does that say? That means water has moved in the spaces among soil particles, so that air spaces are there. So, water moves into these air spaces. Here that water air bubbles release out and water can retain in soil. So, what you can understand with that experiment, and there is a small thing to mention, 1/4 of the volume of soil, 1/4 of the volume. If you take 100, that means 25. If you take 1000, 250, 1/4 of the soil is made out of air. Right. So, function of air you know, like us, plants also respire. So, plants respire with the help of the air inside this soil. Then there is something called germination, initial growth of the seed. It does not need soil, it needs water, warm earth, but oxygen surely. So, that is coming from the soil air. Porosity is there. So, here these gases come through the soil there to the plant, then germination, plant is growing, at the same time water retained there. So, ability to retain there is the porosity. This is soil water, water logged place this is. So, you can find out there whether soil has soil water. This way you can heat this up easily, even without the test tube you can do that. Only thing what you need is, when water like liquid droplets, when it is condensed there, what is moving out, you can use something to identify whether this is water, that is which you can use copper sulfate. This is hydrated copper sulfate. So, you do not use this, you use anhydrous copper sulfate. When these water droplets are there, it turns into blue color. So, here it is given, this is white color is anhydrous copper sulfate, this is hydrated copper sulfate. Those water droplets move into that. Can you see when water move there, that it turns into blue color? That means when you boil soil out even, you can see that water droplets are there. With copper sulfate, you can surely say that it is water droplets. Soil water also has functions. You know, they maintain their function, organisms to live, plants, nutrients that it is absorbed with that, control temperature of the soil, and photosynthesis. Plants produce food with the help of water. There are some soil organisms, you know, that when you talk about soil, you can't forget about soil organisms. Microorganisms are also there. So, you can show with this experiment that microorganisms are present. What do? You take milk, and one is with heated soil, one is without heated soil, and cover it with cotton stoppers and keep it for some times. You will see heated soil do not have any organisms. Non-heated soil will have some organisms. Therefore, soil with organisms always tend to coagulate milk. You can see that always these are the observation, coagulation of milk is these children. So, it turns into this way, not the liquid part. Soil with microorganism turn milk to this way. Soil without microorganism will not turn this way. That shows soil has microorganisms. So, coagulation of milk takes place due to microorganism in soil. Milk is not coagulated without microorganisms. So, there are some organisms, earthworm and all, they make holes there. Microorganisms can decay matter in soil. Soil erosion, lastly we talk about, you know, this diagram shows how the soil has moved out mainly by wind, water and animals. Wind, water and animals main way. Erosion means soil move away from the place where it is. Right. So, here you can say the top layer usually with the organic matter, only move out, it becomes infertile. So, removal of topsoil is called soil erosion. When soil erosion takes place different way, you can see that water takes the top part, then wind takes the top part, topsoil. In dry season, same time there, can you see that sea, water has taken this sea, part of the sea with the help of water. So, animals even can do that. So, removal of soil by legs, hooves of animals, different way the animals who are involved in soil erosion. So, soil erosion mainly by water, mainly by wind and animals. If the topmost soil is removed off, that is called soil erosion. Then what happens? Soil becomes infertile. So, there are some places you can see how it is eroded. You may have seen on TV this type of erosion. So, you can see this setup there, one is covered with grass or plants, others are not. When water is there, when plant is there, you can get clear water. If plants are not there, you can see parts in soil will come down. That shows how erosion with this one. So, here look at this, the colors if you can. Here with the plant very clear, the others are brown in color. So, it is always there, the observation you can see. If plants are there, soil does not get eroded. So, today we learnt about soil, how soil is made, what are the parts in soil, then why it is important. As I told you, if soil is not there, we can't live. There is no place for the plants to grow, animals to live, especially human to live. Then if soil is not there, that plants won't grow, no food for others. That is the main thing. Other than that, how this soil is formed, main parts, composition. And what is the most important part of soil is the top layer. If that is removed, we call it erosion. You know, wind, water and animals involved in this erosion. We have to stop this involvement of getting eroded this soil out for our betterment, for nature's betterment. So, if soil is not there, you can understand that all living organisms cannot live. Very, very important to know about soil is that. So, we also must involve in protecting, somehow keep its structure as it is. Hope you learned something from today's lesson. We will meet again from another science lesson in Guru Gedara. Have a good day, children.